Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mommy Guide Inc., where we talk about everything and anything that are dear and essential to moms and moms at heart. For those who are new to my channel, I am Mommy Lala. Our topic for tonight is something really dear to me as I'm a firm believer of supporting and providing children the best education they can no matter what their circumstances are. I'm a homeschooling advocate and as a result of the but I am a result of the traditional way of learning. So I respect whatever method the family decides to pursue in terms of educating the young. Tonight, we have two homeschoolers who are very dear to me. Sammie is actually my daughter and my eldest child, and with her is one of her dear friends, Therese Riego, or as we fondly call her, Reese. I've asked them both to come tonight to share their learnings as they try to reach their academic goals and more. All right, this episode is really just for these two girls to share their experiences and hopefully may serve as an inspiration to those who may be going through the same things now and in the future. All right, so let's start with Sam. Sammie started her learning journey in a progressive school for her preschool and then traditional school for her elementary or grade school education. And she went to homeschooling for her junior high, and she then went back to regular school or traditional school for her senior high at the Ateneo and is now currently in UP or University of the Philippines for college. Reese, on the other hand, is a full-time student and ballet professional at the same time. She started her learning journey in a progressive school for preschool and then traditional school for her elementary grade school education, and she got also homeschooled for her junior high. And in senior high, she went back to traditional high at St. Paul QC and is now still deliberating which college she will go to because she has been accepted to so many schools here and abroad. I am as excited as all of you to hear from these two beautiful, amazing, wonderful ladies who are both so much in love with the Lord. And so without further ado, let's both welcome Sam and Reese. Hello, Sam and Reese.
Hello po.
All right, good evening to the both of you. How are you, Reese?
I'm good po. Thank
You're
you for
good.
having me.
Oo, tignan nyo nga naman, mukha ba yung magka-college na, no? Parang baby pa.
Mas
All right, actually she is. All right, so Reese, we also heard that you are actually coming up with a talk very soon. So can you share us something about that talk?
yes po. So, on July 14, so that's a Wednesday, from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., I'm going to have a college essay talk, so tips and tricks, how to write an essay that'll make you stand out, how to showcase yourself to universities, and like creative prompts and ideas. So that talk po will be via Google Meet. I have a
Mm-hmm.
registration form for that, and the registration fee is 250 pesos lang per person. You can find the registration form on the LSJ, Mommy Guide Inc., and HLA FB pages po.
All right. Thank you so much, Reese. Don't worry because we will be mentioning that again later. Okay, so that they don't forget that talk that you're gonna have. All right. So let's say hi also to Sam. Hi,
Hello
Sam.
po. Hi. I'm also
Kamusta naman? Na-miss kita, anak. Parang a few
Ay,
minutes ago lang kitang
miss
nakita.
din kita, mami.
All right. Okay. So again, this talk is really for everybody so that they can actually, the two of you can hopefully, get to inspire those who are gonna go or going through the same things that you did in the past. All right. So let's read some comments lang. Okay, Fräulein says, mga sisi ko yan. Alright, thanks for the support, Alfie.
Okay.
Alright, so let's start. Okay, so to the both of you, Reese, okay, and Sam. So what grade level did you start homeschooling and why? So let's start with Sam.
Okay, so for me, I think mom actually mentioned this really briefly in the beginning, but I was actually in traditional school for the whole of grade school. So when I was around grade 7, I learned that my mom actually had plans to homeschool my brother. So I saw that as an opportunity to ask her if I could try something new as well. So thankfully, by God's grace, she allowed me to push through with it. So I started homeschooling in grade 8, and then after that first year, we realized that it really stuck with me and with the rest of our family. So we just pushed through with it for the rest of junior high school.
All
So that's
right.
grade 8 to grade 10.
Grade 8 to grade 10. Thank you, Sammy. How about you, Reese? Okay, so what grade level did you start and then why?
Okay, so yes po, I started in junior high, so grade 7 po, I started homeschooling. And actually, we weren't planning to homeschool at first, but then I had another friend po that was going to be homeschooled. So I told my mom, I was like, oh, my friend's going to be homeschooled. And she was like, oh, okay, that's nice. And then, like, after a while, because my ballet schedule was conflicting with my school classes, and then
Mm-hmm.
also I felt stagnant with my learning, and I felt I wasn't able to push myself enough. So
Mm-hmm.
mom then considered homeschooling for me, and then later on for my brothers as well. So grade 7 to grade 10, I was homeschooled.
All right. Thank you so much. So both of you more or less that was the situation when you both started junior high, right? So most homeschoolers start really young, right? Maybe like preschool, right? A lot of the homeschoolers, actually maybe 70-80% are in that age range, okay? So but kayo junior high, medyo a little bit older na, no? So, okay, so both of you came from a traditional school, right? Okay, so how easy was it to transition yung from the traditional learning and then set up to homeschooling at this, grade level? Okay, so let's start again with Sam.
Um, Personally, I found that the transition was relatively easy because while I was in grade school, I was able to develop good study habits already. So I was able to discipline myself. I knew when to study, when I could rest. So I was able to carry that over naman when I started homeschooling. So overall, the transition, I didn't really feel it as much because I was still able to learn, and I
Mm-hmm.
was able to learn at home in the presence of my family, and I was able to have more flexibility pa. So overall, I think it was okay.
So, hindi masyado mahirap for you. All
Hindi
right,
naman.
how about for Reese?
Yeah, so Sam and I are really similar. Yeah, it
Kahit naman.
wasn't that difficult for me. It wasn't at least it wasn't as difficult as I expected it to be. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's partly because like almost every other school year I was changing schools. And I was even in Singapore for
Mm-hmm.
like 2 school years at one point. So because I changed schools so often, like it was just a matter of getting used to another kind of schooling. And then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
again, also my mom instilled in me like good study habits, discipline, love of learning.
Mm-hmm.
So because I already like learning and I was learning the things I wanted to learn in homeschool, it was a lot easier than I thought. So
All
just
right,
nice.
so that's awesome, no? Excuse me. That the both of you actually really didn't have that much difficulty transitioning from traditional setup to homeschooling. All right, so let's go back to that journey of yours in junior high. So, what would be a typical day? This is normally one of the very usual questions about if they want to do homeschooling at this level. So what would be a typical day for you, like during your homeschooling days in the junior high? Okay, and then what were your initial struggles, and then how did you overcome the struggles? All right, so this time around, let's start with Reese.
Okay. So yeah, when I was homeschooled, um, I usually during the day up until the afternoon, and then usually at night I would have my ballet, so I'd have a lot of rehearsals. And because I was taking ballet seriously already at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so I would be home like kind of late, like maybe at most 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. I'd be home. So yeah, but then and then sometimes also I'd have to bring my schoolwork to my ballet, like when I'm waiting in between classes, I would do them. So yeah, that it was there was a lot of like studying like in between it and like even if yeah so and then um sorry, what's the other question?
Yeah. So yes, were there difficulties, as we said, and then what were your struggles that you can remember, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so difficulties I think for me was more of just getting used to the environment, I guess. Yeah, because it was a new environment. I wasn't in a classroom anymore like
Mm-hmm.
before. I didn't have classmates, I didn't have my friends to study with. Um, and then also later on, making my own schedule and figuring out how to grade my work. So yeah, and how to like organize like my own work, my own portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Because mom made started making me do it, myself, like to make me more
Yes.
independent rather than
Yes,
having the teachers do it with me.
exactly. So at that level kasi no, we are as homeschoolers, as much as possible, dapat independent learners na, no? So less of the teaching, more of really, individualized learning process. Okay, so how are you able to overcome that difficulty of, the scheduling part, and was it like something that you just got, you adapted to eventually?
Well, actually, my mom did help me kasi po at first, how she like divided the lesson plans per week. So it was more of like just following along. So she would kind of make me do it with her, and then after a while, once I got it, she would just leave me alone.
All
So
right. Yes. Okay. So the parents would trust more of our like overseer, 'di ba? If things are really being done. All right? Because actually mas matatalino kayo talaga na sa amin, no? I think so. All right. Thank you so much, Reese. Okay, let's go to Sammy. All right,
Hello po.
Sam. Okay, the same question for you, anak. So both of you, so what would be a typical day for you like during your homeschooling days? What were the initial struggles, and then how did you overcome them?
Okay. So actually, I agree with many of what Reese already previously said, but I think really part of the beauty of homeschooling is no day really looks the same. Because when you're in traditional school, there's a schedule you need to follow. There are certain subjects that you need to complete within a day, so you have to and you have to really stick to that schedule throughout the school year. But when you're homeschooled, you really have the flexibility to be able to customize what you do within a day. So for me, what I'd normally do is I'd get one subject, so let's say science or math, and that's all I do for the whole day. So, and I think that really, really helped me because I'm the type of learner who really needs to be exposed to a certain topic, all the different angles, everything, in order for me to fully understand it. So, homeschooling really granted me the ability to understand what I was learning, and like what Reese said, it really helped. It helped me fall in love, so to speak, with learning again because I really wasn't as conscious anymore with my grades and I was more concerned with learning. So I think that's one of the beauties of it. And I think since that was around 2015, that was also the time I was starting to get more active in the ministry in church. So normally I'd study in the morning, same, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that in the afternoon, that's when we'd have, because I joined our dance ministry for a while
Mm-hmm.
before I had to move to Ateneo. So we
Mm-mm.
had practices from 6 until I think 9 p.m. And if we had
No,
like
sometimes more than that. I would pick you up at 10 or 11. Yes, I remember. I'm not complaining though. You had, it's for the Lord. All right. Thank you, Sammy. All right. So
so
for the both of you again. All right. So, and then you both transitioned back to regular school for senior high, right? So, what schools did you consider? Okay. Uh, and then, did they have validation or entrance exam? And how did you prepare for it? So now we're talking about, fast forward, moving on to senior high. All right. So let's start with Reese again. Okay. Again, the question did. Okay. So, what schools did you consider for senior high, and did they do validation or entrance exams? And then, how did you prepare for going back to a traditional setup?
Um, I we yes, so St. Paul was one of the schools we considered, and then I think we also considered Everest for a little bit. But yeah, I did choose St. Paul because well, my mom said it was pretty good, like, and they also had the AP, so that was nice. Um, yeah, I think they had an entrance exam. I did not really prepare for it. I was like, okay, I'll just I don't know. Like I didn't really I didn't really prepare for it. I just went and I was like, okay, God take the wheel. Because
Yeah.
I
Yes.
was I had to finish like my grade 10, and the time between finishing my grade 10 and enrolling was like super super small. So I didn't really have time to prepare for
Didn't
the
have time anymore. All right. So were you considering moving into homeschooling for senior high before you decided on St. Paul, or it was really you were set on no, after junior high I will have to go to I have to go back.
We did consider grade to homeschool for grade 11 and 12. But then yeah, we kind of just went with St. Paul na lang.
All right. All right. Pero tignan nyo naman, without preparation. Diba? Pero wag niyong gagawin yun, ha? Mas maganda talaga magpe-prepare po tayo, ha? All right. But it's, Reese, talaga po kasi namang masipag na bata ito. All right. So, maski na walang preparation, pasadong-pasado pa rin. All right. So, let's go to Sam. How about you, Sam? Okay, so when you transition back to senior high, okay, so tell us the story about that one because you're a year ahead with Reese, right?
Yes.
So, and then what schools did you consider, and then validation and entrance exams, if ever, so that the others may know also about it. And then how did you prepare for it, if ever?
Okay, so actually, I have very fond memories of that time. So, because I was still homeschooling while that was happening, this was also way, like, several years before the pandemic happened. So, yung batch namin, we really had to take an entrance exam. And at the time, the two schools I was considering was Ateneo and Lasal. And I applied to the STEM track for both. So, I think going back to the preparation part, since I was homeschooled, I was able to set aside a lot of time for preparing. So for me, it really involved a lot of answering practice problems, and then I would also do them time to see if I to really condition myself for the actual exam proper. And then after I'd answer all those tests, I'll check like where did I get a mistake? How can I do better next time? So that during the actual exam, I wouldn't be as nervous anymore. And sometimes I also my mom also got tutors to help me with certain topics if they got harder. So overall, I really did enjoy the preparation process. So for Ateneo and Lasal, they're both very similar. But when you're applying to Ateneo, they will ask for more requirements, and that involves things like essays, recommendation letters, stuff like that. And looking back, I'm glad I made it, because by God's grace, I was able to gain acceptance to both of those schools. So,
All right. So yay. Yay to both of you. All right. Okay, hold on. Hindi yata narinig yung aking yay to both of you. Okay, nasaan yung aking? There. May palakpak eh. All right? Because I really, 'di ba? You both deserve that. Okay. So now that you've transitioned to senior high. Okay. So in senior high, so from homeschooling, we are so, a much relaxed environment. We can change the schedule and adapt it to what's happening in our life. So in senior high and back in the regular school, so how did you learn to adapt to the new environment? Again, so was it difficult? Easy? Can you name specific situation or things that you can remember that somehow you really struggled with? And then how about the thing that you felt was easier because of your homeschooling background? So this time around, let's start with Samantha.
okay. So as my mom mentioned before, I ended up going to Ateneo for senior high school, and I think transitioning into the school, one of my biggest struggles was the pacing because, like what my mom said, when you're homeschooled, you really have the freedom to choose what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it. But when you're in Ateneo or when you're just in senior high school in general or just in traditional school, everything is dictated by your teachers. It's dictated by a schedule, and sometimes the thing is they can't adjust to just one student. So really, you have to be the one to take initiative to seek them out and ask for help. So that's one thing I really needed to practice, because I really had like you really had to go out of your way if you wanted to do something. So I think it's just that because everything is more fast paced, we had to go through lessons through a certain time frame. So I think it was just me parang adjusting again to the fact na okay, so this is what we need to finish and we need to finish it now. And at first, I did struggle a bit, and it was reflected in my grades for the first, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks. But after you're subjected to that kind of fast-paced environment for a while, you get used to it. Started to notice patterns. When did I work well? When did I not? What did I do wrong? What can I do better? There was always that kind of self-assessment going through my head. At the same time, mom also really helped me a lot. Like there were lots of days when I would during lunch, I'd just go outside and call her and be like, "Mom, there was this quiz kasi."
Oo.
Then she'd be like, "Why are you crying?"
Yeah, okay. She wasn't used to, as in homeschool, uh, you felt that you are always doing things right, 'di ba? You're
Yeah,
always on top of everything, and now you're in a situation where everybody is really, really good, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so you need
That's
to,
right.
up your ante, so to speak, right? So you were able to overcome those most of the time emotions and adapt to the again the it's more of the schedule the very stringent scheduling, that so many things happening, homework, exams,
Yes.
practices, what have
Yeah.
you, that you weren't used to before, because as a homeschooler you can always, okay, because I'll do this tomorrow. Anyway, we're more output
Yeah.
oriented. Here it's output plus, okay, the limitations of a schedule, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So how about you, Reese?
Yes. So
Uh-oh.
when I was in St. Paul, because well, at least for the Pasig campus, they have a like special section
Mm-hmm.
for serious athletes or artists, like in my case. So I applied for that specific section.
Oh, that's
And the
great.
advantage with that was that they kind of had elements of like online slash at home independent study learning, and then also like on campus learning. So because of that, it gave me much more flexible time schedule, for me for my ballet. And also, um, I had a little bit of leeway and I could study independently still. So it wasn't as it wasn't super difficult naman for me to adjust back to the schedule. And I think because yeah, and I remember like Sam, because Sam went to regular school earlier than I did. So and then I could kind of hear a little bit of like how Sam was doing. So I was like, oh, I was preparing myself
Yeah.
based on that. So it's like
So
okay,
it's
I
like
know
you were
like
preparing for like this level of difficulty, right?
yeah,
And
so I was
then when
like
you
okay,
felt,
I know
oh,
Tama, tama eh.
this is not as
yeah, so like
hard.
yeah, and I think the waking up early was this is probably one of the most difficult things for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, and then we have morning rites because it's a Catholic school and everything. And the
Oo.
morning rites, like it starts like 7:15 or something. So it's like, oh my goodness, it starts at 6:15 a.m. Okay, so that means I have to get to school like earlier
All
than that.
right. So in the
So,
beginning, so both of you more or less really had to struggle with with the changes going back, right? It's like it's a diaspora, right? Something like that. All
Yes.
right. So now, congratulations to the both of you. You've finished senior high. Sam earlier than Reese. Okay, but just recently, Reese. All right, so you need an applause for that. All right, ang hina ng aking applause. Sorry naman. Okay, sandali nga lang itong aking background music. Okay, dapat pag nag-applause ako ganyan. Yes, all right. You know, this ladies, really, everybody who graduated and who finished this school year, salute and kudos to all of you. It isn't easy. You know, having a learning center, I do have one. And actually, Therese's mom is part of my center. Okay, so we understand the difficulties of, you know, the situation we have right now as, you know, online platform, diba? So talagang congratulations. This is all new for everybody and you guys, you know, finished it well. All right, so now, Reese, you're going into college pretty soon. All right. And Sam is actually now in college. All right. Incoming sophomore. All right. So, in preparing for college, ladies, how did you balance your academic work, extracurricular activities, etc.? All right. Let's start with Reese.
So I did a lot of like scheduling, and I like to plan. Like I'm kind of type A, so I always had like my daily schedule, so that I'd always have time to prepare for like college essays or like researching a college or whatever, and then and then also so I could still do my ballet because even in quarantine, we still have ballet classes, although not as often. And then yeah, and then because with our study, since it was online, so I had more control with when I could work on the outputs also, so that helped a lot. Yeah, it was really a lot of scheduling, learning how to prioritize, and that was because of years of learning how to prioritize in homeschool. So
All right. How about you, Sam, during that time? Okay. Because now you're already incoming sophomore. So prior to, okay. So can you please share? Okay, how did you balance your academic work, extracurricular activities in preparation for college, etc.?
So this is a long story. So
Okay.
joke lang. But I think to add to what I said a while ago, I also had to go through the college process that I went through is different from Reese in that this happened pre-pandemic also. So we had exams to prepare for on top of our exams at school. And the thing is, when I was in grade 12, most of our STEM subjects were really starting to get very difficult. So at the time, I had to take biology, chemistry, and physics on top of other subjects. And then there was preparing for the college entrance exam. So I think I'm just gonna go on tangent for a bit. But for my school, the seniors get off at around 12 p.m. So we only have classes in the morning. After that, the entire afternoon and the rest of the day is up to you and how you use that time. But I think it's really helpful that they did that for us so that we could really prepare for the exam. So when I was in my senior year of high school, I joined the Blue Babble Band, which is if you've ever been to a UAP game here and you suddenly hear like drums in the background, that's us. So I decided to try out for that year and I got in. So we'd normally have band practice would start at around 4 p.m. because that's when classes would end or 5 p.m. So and since I got dismissed at 12 p.m. I had 4 hours of free time. So depending on the day, sometimes I'd go home as fast as I can and I studied there, or I'd study in the library with my other friends who also had extracurricular activities after school. So it was like what Reese mentioned before. It was in those small windows of free time where I would squeeze in my studying. And looking back, I feel like I could have maximized those 4 hours a little more. Um, because by God's grace, I was able to pass all four schools that I applied to, and right now I'm studying in UP. But the whole process getting there was a little difficult. Because I really needed to learn how to manage my time because
Yeah.
just I had because I
What
had
were
this
the
really
schools, the schools that you tried?
oh, so the schools I applied for was UP, Ateneo, UST and LaSalle. So those four. Um, okay, where was
All
I?
right. And then you chose UP. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So how about for Reese? Reese. All right. So for Reese, on top of, local universities, I know that you also, got in not just to the local universities here, but also, can you share something about that?
Yes po. So
Okay.
I applied po to University of San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
Texas Christian University, and the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so and then they gave me partial scholarships, and the amount depended on the school. So that was nice. Yeah, I applied first. I think I applied first to University of San Francisco, and then TCU, then MCPHS, and yeah.
All
So
right. So amazing, Norris. I'm so proud of you, anak. For somebody who is so young, you're so brave. At your age, I wouldn't have even dreamt of, applying for anywhere other than here in the Philippines. But you just wanted to try, and by
and it was
God's
free.
amazing grace, right? You actually got in with merits, right?
That's a
Amazing. Really, really proud of you. So I think, Reese, you paved the way for others to actually, have that courage to just try. Don't get scared. Okay, in the end, if you don't get in, so what? At least you tried. You learn through the process. Also, this is how it is. Like if you want to study abroad for your postgrad or whatever, right? Or for your undergrad, or anyway for postgrad, you know already what to do, right? All right. So Reese is actually just waiting for one more, but so far all the schools check. All right. Yes, correct. Applause, applause. All right. Okay. So now, can you give me the two of you? Okay, hold on before we do that. Okay, so guys, if you have questions, okay, for this two lovely ladies we have right now. Okay, hindi lang po ako ito. Okay, you can ask questions. Just, put down your questions, your comments. You want to congratulate them, whatever. Okay, just be kind. Okay, on my Mommy Guide Inc. Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, or on my personal page. You can just put your questions or comments. Okay, and then we'll try to read them. Okay, so let's scrap stash. Says, good evening, Lala, Sammie, and Reese. Ayan. And Ikagay Diaries also wants to say hi to Reese and Sam. Okay, yung Reese nga daw niya, Reese. Yes, okay. So, we have a question. Can you describe your social life? During and after transition from regular to homeschool to regular school again. Okay, social life ito ha. Okay, so yan ang tinatanong. Kasi actually most people think that as a homeschooler, you don't have any social life. Right? Okay, so who wants to start?
bato-bato pick sister.
Bato-bato pick. All right, let's start with Reese. Okay, Reese. Can you
um,
answer Miss Tita Scrap Stash's question? Oh, there's the question. Can you describe your social life during and after transition from regular to homeschool to regular school again?
um, the primary difference in my social life was really just the quantity of friends that I hung out with.
Okay.
Because it didn't really homeschool didn't change my social life drastically because I had ballet, and
Mm-hmm.
even aside from ballet, I would do other things as well. I did volunteering, so I would talk to
Mm-mm.
the kids and then teach them ballet, and then I do a couple of other activities as well.
Mm-mm.
So it actually gave me more opportunities to be to socialize with people from all walks of life, all kinds of ages. So I was more comfortable, talking to adults and younger kids, and aside from just my peers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was actually the benefit of homeschool. It actually helped me with my socialization.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, when I went to regular school, the only thing that really happened is just that I did end up seeing the same people again, like just more of them. That was really the
All
only thing.
right. Okay, so socialization wise, just more, just added more friends, right? Okay. How about you, Sam?
Okay. So for me, I was actually in the same grade school for 7 years. So at that time, my social circle really just involved the people who were already in that school, and my batch was like 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was they were the same people. They were the people I grew up with, and I'm really thankful for them. But I really didn't know anyone outside of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I really agree with Reese when she said that homeschooling actually opened a lot of opportunities for me to meet new people, because that time I was more active in ministry. So I met people who were older than me, people who were younger than me. We worked with kids before. And I was also able to meet lots of different people who were also the same age as me, people who were going through the same experiences as I was. So that really helped. And because I was homeschooled, I was at home a lot. And admittedly, my Filipino was very bad several years ago. But because I was at home a lot, my ates, they always speak to me in Filipino. So at some point, got better by God's
Mm-hmm.
grace. So, and at that time that I was also socializing with all these different kinds of people, it really helped me get out of the shell that I developed when I was younger. So at that point, I became braver. I was able to initiate conversations easier. So when I entered senior high school again, because compared to yung 40 people na full batch namin, that's just one class in Ateneo. As a batch,
Mm-hmm.
we're like 2,000 people. So that's a lot. So I'm really thankful for that then, because homeschooling really helped me develop confidence in myself to be able to meet new friends while at the same time being honest to who I was as a person. So my personality was intact. And I was still able to meet a lot of wonderful people when I was in Ateneo. I can say that they're really true friends, and I still talk with them a lot now, even if we're in different colleges.
All
It's
right.
really
Thank you so much, Sammy. All right. So, contrary to belief po, no, again, as a homeschooling parent and the teacher, okay, so for Sam, not so much because, as junior high for Sam and Reese, independent learners na po talaga sila. We were more of guides, okay, rather than the teacher ourselves, no. So yung socialization part, huwag po kayong matakot. Actually, kami po yung napapagod sa dami ng pwedeng socialization. Ako na po yung nagsasabing, tama na. Alright? So it's a good thing that both actually Reese and Sam, we're in the same co-op group. That's why, yung kanilang friendship actually, that's where it grew. Okay. So we have comments from my personal Facebook page. All right. So I have to. Okay. Kaya hindi ko siya maa-up. Okay. But this is from a friend of mine. Okay. So I have to read it first kasi baka, okay, so okay naman. So from a dear friend of mine, okay, Danny. Actually, we will be having Danny Ong soon on the show because he's coming up with his awesome travel book. How it's gonna, what it's all about pa, you'll soon have to find out. Hopefully, in the next few months, matatapos na siya. So again, Danny's asking, as a parent, was the transition from a traditional school to homeschooling difficult? Okay. So in the beginning, yes, because I was a hesitant homeschooler. Okay? Because most parents when they come into homeschooling, their issue is their kids don't want to homeschool. Okay, so with Mommy Lala, it was the opposite. Both my kids wanted to homeschool. As a solo parent, and then I also have to work. So how can I homeschool two kids? One who is, opposite side of like one is only like kinder and the other one is junior high. So for me, I didn't want that to happen. So I was asking Sam at that time, Sam, you're already, you're thriving in a regular school. Can you just please continue? So she wanted to homeschool even as early as grade 7, but I said, maybe you're being bullied. Let's investigate. So I said, one more year. All right. And then after grade 7, she said, oh, mom, I'm already grade 7. You promise I can homeschool already. And then I said, okay, so maybe she really wants. I didn't have any more excuse, right? So when I went into that homeschooling orientation, and everybody there was hesitant because of their kids didn't want to. And I was the only one whose kids really wanted to homeschool. And that's when, the Lord somehow spoke to me that, don't worry, I will be there for you, for your whole family. And that's how we actually started. Another follow-up question is, did homeschooling affect your social skills? I guess so. It also did, okay? Because I'm an extrovert person to start with. So go talking to people wasn't isn't really an issue with me. All right? But homeschooling opened up actually more more doors and possibilities to actually meeting more people other than my usual circle of friends. All right. So thanks, Danny, for those awesome questions. All right. And then Tita Vivian also wants to say hi. If only I can put this thing up. Okay. Hi, Sammy. O, di ba? Mahaba-mahabang sabi. And hi, Reese. All right. And Scrap Stash follow-up is happy to know that Reese and Sammy. Okay, so when Tita meant probably that you guys, your social life weren't affected. All right. So, now, remember the topic is 10 tips, right? So now we go to the tips. All right. So let's start with Reese. So Reese, can you give so it's going to be 5 for each of them. So that's why a total of 10 tips. All right. So let's start with Reese.
Okay, so yeah, my first tip is to learn how to self motivate talaga, especially when you're homeschooled.
Mhm.
So when learning how to self motivate, a very good place to start is by setting a very clear and concrete goal for yourself. So there's actually an acronym that's you can remember that's really good for that. So it's called the SMART acronym. So
Mhm.
that's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time based. So yeah, especially the time based part, because sometimes like when I'd make a goal, it would be concrete, but I wouldn't really have a time limit.
Mhm.
So it's still kind of pointless. So the time limit's important, and that will kind of give you a vision of um, how to achieve whatever goal you want to achieve, and
Mhm.
and that provides motivation because you can actually visualize yourself doing it, and like really getting into the process. So that's why clear and concrete goals are a must for learning how to self motivate. And then yeah, as I've mentioned earlier, enjoy the process of doing a task rather than just trying to focus on the end result, because sometimes you might not even if you follow all the steps, you might not get the end result. So it's better that you enjoy the process and learn from your mistakes. It's really about like trying to better yourself. So that's um yeah, really enjoy the process. And then also very important is to give yourself ample rest, and reward yourself from time to time, because that will in itself give you more motivation to do what you want to do. So there's that as well. So that's for the first tip, so learning how to self motivate. And then for the second tip is really to develop a love of learning, because this will actually also help you with self motivation. That's why I was able to motivate myself even while I was having ballet and my studies. And I want to go to pre-med pa, so I had a lot of STEM and everything. But because I really love medicine and I really love ballet. So even when it gets hard, um, I was still able to push through. I was still able to have that grit. And if you love something and it's not non-destructive, and God wants it for you as well,
Mhm.
God will help you. So that's why like developing a love of learning is also really important. Um, if you are or your child is having trouble liking school or learning, I suggest that try to be open minded. Keep your foot in like several doors.
Mhm.
Like of resources, where to go to get like let's say for tutoring or whatever. And then trying to find also yours or your child's learning style. The personality best learning environment. Because like for me, I'm a visual learner, and well, my second learning style is also auditory. So, um, if I had a lot of pictures and I could like listen to like a lecture or something, that really helped me to study. And sometimes I would study with music, so that was nice also. My brother is kinesthetic, so he learned. He was able to learn a lot better when he was like walking around and like touching
Mhm.
things.
Yes.
So yeah, he did that a lot, especially like the first couple years I think of his homeschooling journey. So yes, learn to be open-minded. Try a variety of things because you never really know once you try it. So yeah, and we're all going to make mistakes anyway. So just be accepting and just be open.
All right.
Um, so third one is developing your outside interests because so these are your non-academic. So in my case, that's dance. I volunteer work as well. Sports, speech and debate. That's also considered like those outside interests because those make you more well-rounded, and it also kind of gives you like a place to breathe. Because I feel like if you're too focused naman on academics, you're going to get tired of it more
Yeah,
quickly.
you're gonna get burned out, right?
Yeah, like if you just have a one track mind. So that's why that it's kind of like a breath of fresh air to have outside interests or even multiple outside interests. It's fine. Um, and those outside interests will also help you in the long run, like academically, because you're applying what you've learned in school to the real world. And what you learn in the real world you'll apply to school also sometimes, like because I apply ballet, so that helps me with my medicine. I learn about the muscles and everything, so that's cool. And then like with cooking sometimes it's kind of like a similar scenario. So yeah, and then uh it also helps you with again socialization, forming connections, being street smart, because life isn't just about like what you know in your head. You also need to learn how to interact with people. So um that's also very important, developing outside interests. And then fourth is learning how to prioritize, because yeah, like you're having to develop your outside interests and then you have your school. So how do you balance all of these? A really good tip that I learned from my mom was to categorize tasks into four categories. So the most important one, so these are like your important and urgent tasks, so you do them immediately. And then your second is your important but not urgent tasks. So these are the tasks you schedule. You set aside like a time block every day for it, or depends on the task, like every other day, depends. And then the third is not important but they're urgent. So like checking emails or whatever. Um, yeah, just you can delegate them or do them after like you've done your other like more important tasks. And then the fourth is they're not important and not urgent, so you save those na lang for when you're taking a break or like when you're done now with everything else. So yeah, apparently it's called the Eisenhower decision matrix, so you can check it out like on Google there, if in case you forget the categories. So it's there. And then yeah, it is learning a lot through trial and error and a lot of experience. Um, and the beauty also with that matrix kasi is that you don't necessarily have to like push anything out. Like it's more like just shifting tasks around within the blocks. So that's why like when people would tell me before like, oh, maybe just either stick to med or ballet, but maybe you can't you it's probably impossible for you to do both. Like actually there are people who have done both. There's a person that I really look up to and admire. Her name is Merit Moore. She's a quantum physicist who studied in Harvard and Oxford, and she's a ballet dancer with like several big companies. So I mean, she can do that. Why can't I?
It
Why?
takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of
It's
discipline and a lot of
doable,
love
but really
for
discipline.
yeah. So yeah, it's just. I mean, now I can still learn. I can still do school and my ballet. So if I can still
Exactly.
do it now, I'll just continue it until I
Yeah.
really can. I
Yes,
think
as
that's a
long as you
job.
love it, it's not something that you're just doing just for the sake of doing it. It's really something that you're very passionate about and you want to, then go ahead. All right, so what's the fifth one?
The fifth one, this is the most important one, is to always be grounded and
All
trust
right.
in God, because He gives
Amen.
us the strength enough to do all of this talaga, like the motivation, the time management,
Yeah,
blah blah blah. No, without God, because we can't do anything by ourselves anyway. So
that's true.
might as well just let Him take the wheel. So.
Amen.
Amen.
All right,
Amen.
awesome. Thank you so much, Reese.
I love you,
How
man.
old are you again?
17 po.
Okay, so for some of us who are watching, who are parents, it's like, is she a parent? Yes, for such for a woman as young as her, that's why she is able to achieve so much. Okay, at such a very limited time. She's still very young, and yet she has achieved so much. Maybe even for some of us, even at our age, will never be able to achieve what she has done. So okay, it's just that awesome, awesome parents. Okay, thank you, Mommy Eileen. You did a very great job. Kudos to you and the siblings as well. It takes a whole community to actually raise up a child. And of course, God at the center. Thank you so much, Reese. All right, don't go yet. Okay, let's just go to Sam for a while. All right, Samantha. But before we start with you, I just want like to say hi to John Ryan of Coffee Talk and Tech. Thank you for dropping by, John. It's good morning to you again and good evening to us. So tonight we're talking to these two awesome ladies, okay, who have achieved so much, and we just want to share with people how they are able to do so. All right, Sam. Okay, so the same question. Okay, so what are your 5 tips?
Okay. Actually, if you ask me, Reese was able to flush out all of the very practical things that you can do if you really want to excel in, be it in senior high school or in
Okay.
college or
Your
just in
audio
life.
is a bit low. Maybe you need to go a little bit.
Hello? Hello po.
Okay.
Is this better?
Now.
Ano?
Hello?
Okay, I don't know what's happening. Okay, sige. Better than none. Okay.
Rinig naman po ako.
Mahina po eh.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, it's okay. Okay,
Okay.
let's try. Just make your voice louder po.
Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. So actually, to repeat what I said a while ago, Reese actually covered many. Reese covered many really good tips, practical tips that you can use if you really want to excel, be it in senior high school or in college or just in life in general. Those are really things that you can apply and that you can go to if you really want to achieve your goals. So the 5 tips I prepared naman are more geared towards your or someone's well-being, so to speak. So the first thing I have is more of a reminder actually, and that's to be kinder to yourself. Because while you're chasing for your goals and you're going through the process, it's not always going to be easy. There are going to be moments where you feel tired or uninspired or burnt out, and during those times, sometimes you get this feeling that I'm not doing enough, or I could be doing better. So we tend to quote unquote parang beat ourselves up over that kind of thing, and I think especially now given the current situation, we are in a pandemic and everyone has varying situations. Like we all have different lives to live. So I guess knowing that, I think it's really best na we encourage ourselves for the small things, be it just getting out of bed or brushing your teeth or taking a bath. All these small mundane things. I really think that this pandemic has helped us appreciate those things because every day you're getting up and you're doing them no matter how small, and those are achievements that I think should still be celebrated because you went out of your way to do them. So I really feel now we should celebrate those small everyday things just to help motivate ourselves na din. And I think I just wanted to remind everyone na wherever you are, you're doing your best, and I really hope that you continue on because even if it really feels like there's nothing waiting for you on the other side, there is something. We just really need to keep going pa rin. And I think that my second tip really ties into that, and that's I think Reese also mentioned this briefly before, and that's using your failures or challenges as learning opportunities. And for me personally, failure and I are very well acquainted. um, it's no stranger to me. I meet them maybe every 2 years. So I think one good thing personally that came with failing as often as I did in the past was you don't really, at some point, you learn to just accept that this is what happened. And instead of um, parang giving into that side of yourself that says na this is where we stop, that's not real. Rather, whenever I fail, I just use that opportunity to look back and say what went wrong, what can I do better. You just really have to assess the situation, because I really feel like we're just going to continue to fail in the future, but that shouldn't stop us. Rather, with each failure we have, we can learn something new. So, and I really felt I really felt like that applied to me, especially now during my first year in college, and it was online pa. So really, sometimes you just need to accept na, okay, my score in this quiz wasn't as high as I hoped it would be, or I could have done better in this exam, or in this lab report, or in this prob set. Um, and then from there, you can just really try to motivate yourself to do better. But of course, you can also be sad for a bit, like, oh, I'm gonna. But then always remember to pick yourself up afterwards. So I really think developing that grit is really something that you learn when you fail a lot. So there's that. And I think for tip 3 naman, I really felt like that helped me a lot during that time, and that was having an accountability partner. Because in that time in my life, I really had a hard time motivating myself. So for me, having someone to keep me accountable really helped me steer myself back into the right direction. Because sometimes I'd get text messages from them. They'd say, "Oh, have you finished this? We have a report due on this day. Did you start on it na?" Yung ganon. So at first, I was really hesitant to actually ask someone because I didn't want to parang bother them or things like that. But when I reached out to them, they were more than happy to help me. So that's actually something I'm doing again right now for mid-year classes, which is summer classes in UP. So I asked one of my friends, who is also in my D group, to parang bug me or parang message me every now and then to ask, oh, do you have something due next week? When it's due, I'm gonna check up on you and stuff like that. So I have someone who's outside of school, and then I also have a course mate who's also my blockmate and a friend I made last school year. We're not in the same class for this particular subject, but I know her schedule, she knows mine. So from time to time we'll message each other, like I think 2 days from now I actually have something due already. So there's that. I really feel like it's good to have that support system as well, people to help push you into action basically. And at the same time, you can also do the same for them. So you can help motivate each other and be there for each other during a time like this, especially academically, because mom also mentioned this previously, but online learning is really something new, and it's still something to a certain extent that everyone's adjusting to, and it will be much easier to adjust to it if you're with other people who are going through a similar experience. So I think having an accountability partner, or really just a support group in general, would be really good. So you have people to speak with, people who can encourage you, and you can encourage them. So aside from that, I also have my D group. Reese is also part of my D group.
Yes.
Yes. D group rocks. All right.
Exactly. So para every other week nag-iiyakan kami. Joke na. Um so hi Ate Cha, if you're watching this.
Yes. Charisse is their D group leader. All right.
So I
Yes.
think my last tip naman, very similar to what we said, and that's to really just sit down with yourself, because we're giving you all these tips, but at the end of the day, it's really up to you whether or not you want to use them, because at the same time, we're all different people. What works for me might not work for Reese. What works for Reese might not work for me, and what works for us might not work for you. So really, you really just need to really set aside time to parang get to know yourself. What works, what doesn't, what should I drop. I said that a lot, guys. We should tally that at the end of the video.
All right. So thank you so much to this awesome ladies. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Danny! Daniel Halili is watching. Hi, Sam. Danny is one of Sammy's friends from Ateneo. She's also in UP right now. Tama, di ba, UP?
Opo.
Okay, UP right now. And then, hello, Sammy. Okay, from Miss Ayin. Okay, so you have a strong and very kind support group, Sammy. Indeed, Reese and Sammy, though, they're in different levels. Okay, so Sammy's a year older than Reese, but they have the same D group. They're in the same D group. When we were homeschooling in a mixed group because Reese has siblings. Sammy has a younger brother. So we were part of a co-op where we have different ages and grade levels. So they practically grew up together during their, high school days. All right. And of course, Ayin also wants to say hello to Reese. All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Reese and Sam, for taking this time off to actually be with me tonight with Mommy Lala so that we can actually share. Okay, so sabi nga ni Sam yung what do you call that, anak? What did you say this thing is about? Best what do you call this, best practice. Okay, best practice that they've learned, as they went through the process of from transitioning from, elementary to junior high to senior high, and then now they're both in college. Pretty soon Reese is in college, so Reese right now is just enjoying, the last few weeks of, freedom, because pretty soon you're gonna be in college just like Sam. And Sam's mid-year classes have actually started today, and it's okay. It's a blessing to be able to study, right? Right. And to actually love learning. Let me check once more if we have other questions. So again, for those who have joined us tonight, thank you so much. And for those who are watching on replay, I hope that you have really enjoyed this episode tonight as we learn from these two beautiful and young ladies who I don't know what age they are. Okay, I think, okay, parang feeling ko yung bata rito sa dami ng gaganda ng mga tips nila, 'di ba? Parang, oh, okay, that can be applicable to me. Yes, right? So, so you see, kids can actually have, they have a mind of their own, and it's at this point that we just need to have that time to actually listen to them. And when you actually listen to them, they make sense, right? But then again, as kids and as our children, they still need guidance. Okay, just a different level every step of the way. All right, so with that, I pray that we have imparted with you some inspiration. Again, this is as what Sam said and Reese has mentioned several times tonight, that you are all different. All right. And if you can find your own learning style, then that would also be awesome. But in the end, we just want to say good night. God bless you all. And I hope to see you again next time. Oh, but before we forget, all right. Again, Reese, can we invite them to your talk?
So yeah, I'm gonna have a college essay tips and tricks talk. I hope you guys could check it out. I hope you guys would love to join. So it's on July 14. That's a Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. So I'll just talk about creative prompts, how to stand out with your essay. I'll even do some like interactive writing exercises and stuff for the kids who are gonna join. Yeah, so it's just 250 pesos lang per person. If you're interested, there'll be a registration form in the LSJ, Mommy Guide Inc., and HLA Facebook pages.
All right. Thank you so much, Reese. And don't forget po also that Out in You Craft Your Life, the very first one, is a 12-hour virtual retreat, August 7, 2021, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So sa Pilipinas po, that's 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. But don't you worry, hindi nyo kailangang hindi matulog. Okay? Because we're from the other side of the world, they will give recordings to those who will register. And the most important thing here, if you can see one of those 6 ladies who will be part of this Craft Your Life workshop, is our very own, My Little Attic's very own, and the Philippines' very own, Nenet Samson Madero. So I hope let's support Nenet po in this endeavor, and let's all register. You will be hearing more of this event soon, and specifically tomorrow during Crafty Nights. All right, so again, we would like to remind you about Reese's talk. Okay, so to register after this show, on the description, you will find a link where you can register. Also on Mommy Guide Inc.'s Facebook page and on LSJ Learning Hub's Facebook page. And what's the other one?
HLA po.
HLA. It means homeschoolers.
Home Life Academy.
Sorry po. Home Life Academy. All right. So that's another homeschool provider, right?
Yes po.
Okay, tama. Akala ko Okay, sorry naman si Mommy Lala, mali-mali today. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let's just read the last few messages. Okay, hello Therese, we've read that. Blessed kids, indeed. Sis Ayin, we're so blessed with these two ladies here. Thank you for tonight, and to Miss Lala Alakson, you all are an inspiration. God bless you all, and God bless you too. Okay, to everybody who has dropped by, and for those who have stayed from the beginning to the end, maraming salamat po, and I hope that in the future that we would support more of the endeavors from these two ladies. All right, and with that, thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening for this 9:07. For those who have not yet had their dinner, okay, enjoy your dinner, and for the rest, again, God bless. Bye. Everybody say bye.